Welcome to the EOB podcast, where we discuss the weekend's box office and a new opening this week. I am Ben No, and joining me is Sen Duong. So let's begin. Sen, are you there?
Yes, here.
Hey, okay. So you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was good. What about yours?
It's all right. We stay home most of the time. Didn't go anywhere. We avoided the traffic. Well, we kind of went to Target to check out some deals, but we didn't get anything in particular.
Yeah, I stay home too. I didn't go shopping. I heard that Black Friday starts early, starts on Thursday now, 5 p.m.
Yeah, five or
So
six. I mean, depending on the
yeah,
store.
yeah. So I didn't want to join that madhouse.
Right. You're more likely to get hurt than get a deal. So
Yeah, exactly. It's already a madhouse at home. I don't need to go to another madhouse.
right.
During
But
holidays.
but do people really need all that TV? All I'm seeing is right there like
Well,
the
they gotta get ready for Super Bowl. I know it's a couple months away, but
I know, but how many TV do people need? I mean, it seems like people just grab one, every year. All this floor space, dedicated
Well,
to.
Costco. Here's the thing: Costco lets you return it after a couple months.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's possible. It's possible.
I actually bought a TV back once, but it was more because it was. I actually brought it in because it was broken. And
Right.
some people saw me taking it in. They're like, "Ah, so your team lost, huh?"
Oh, they know the deal. I mean, most of the time, during big events like the Super Bowl, I mean, people would just buy
Hmm.
excuse me, rent the
Yeah,
TV from,
yeah, rent. Yeah,
places like Costco, and then they return it.
yeah, more like a free rental.
Exactly, and I heard that some people
Uh,
take it back after a couple of years.
I don't think they let you do that anymore.
No. I think after people abuse that, they changed it to 90 days or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so let's talk box office.
Okay, okay, number one again. Not
Mockingjay number one.
surprising.
Yes, I think we both had it around 60-ish.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is I think is a decent hold for a movie that opened so huge. I think what is it? It's around a 50% drop.
yeah, about a little bit above 50%, but it's still within expected parameters.
I think for other movies, usually the Thanksgiving, especially during Thanksgiving weekend, they tend to do just as well. They tend to hold up really well. Like the drop off tends to be like within the 10% range. But I guess this is an exception because it opened so huge last week. So a 53% drop even during Thanksgiving weekend, I guess, is not too bad.
And also, I think we can probably attribute the lower estimates to
Mhm.
extended weekend, right? I mean, some people get off early, like maybe take days off Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh, you mean some people watch the movie on Wednesday?
Right. Because there's no school or no work or for whatever reason, right? I mean, and there's people traveling too, so
Yeah,
that
that
might balance it out.
that could be it. The
Mhm.
only thing is, I think in general, the pattern
Mhm.
between Thanksgiving weekend and the Thanksgiving weekend and the weekend prior
Mhm.
is that there's almost no drop off, even though people are off, during the week.
All right.
And that's why I think if you look through the rest of the chart, the drop off tend to be very low.
Which we'll get to later.
Oh, yeah, really, yeah, right. So even then, you say Hunger Games is 25% off from the previous one. So I think they said the second one or the first and second one by this time have already. I think the second one, which opened at around the same time,
Mhm.
um, have already made like almost 300 million or something by this time.
Yeah, but then I think those movie open bigger. I think 100 in the 50 range.
Yeah,
Is
right,
it?
right.
That's why it's so far ahead because it opened way bigger.
Yeah,
Um,
not just that though. Even though they just counting Thanksgiving weekend, like
mhm,
the whole week,
mhm.
Mockingjay is still like
Mhm.
25% off from the previous film.
You're talking about the third movie already. I mean, for example, some of the, like, for example, Spider-Man, right? You
Yeah,
see drop-offs from, one movie to the other, and but this one, it holds, especially when it's broken up into two parts.
I think for the first part, I think if you compare it to the last two
It's a Harry
Harry Potter
Potter,
films,
yeah.
It's decent. But as far as being the third film in a trilogy tends to be, it depends. Some drop off
Mm-hmm.
by a lot, but some
Mm-hmm.
like even the third X-Men film,
Right.
The Last Stand,
Mm-hmm.
ended up doing better than I think it opened better than every one of the previous films.
Mm-hmm.
Same
Mm-hmm.
as Spider-Man.
Right.
Overall, it might not do as well as the previous films, but
Mm-hmm.
it opened huge. I think it depends on the quality. Like Spider-Man and the Matrix film, because they weren't as well received, even though they opened well.
Mm-hmm.
The long one, they didn't make as much as the previous films.
Right. Right.
But something like I guess X-Men is a bad example because it opened huge and it did better than the previous films.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, of course, we're still talking about profitable movies. It's just that it didn't do as well as the previous,
Oh, right,
the
yeah,
preceding
yeah.
movies, right? I mean, we're not talking about they're losing money or anything like that, but it just didn't
Oh, yeah.
make as much. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Hunger Games, I think the budget is 125 and it's already, in a
Mhm,
2 weeks, almost made double its budget. So
mhm, mhm.
it's going to make huge profit,
Right,
for,
right. I mean, especially it's broken it up into two parts. I mean, even
yeah,
if it made less than the previous two, it's still you still have another movie coming,
yep,
which will increase Lionsgate's coffers. Already, it's 480 million worldwide,
yeah.
which is about half of Catching Fire,
Mm-hmm.
roughly.
Right.
So it's probably going to surpass the first Hunger Game movie
Oh, okay, yeah.
when it's all said and done. So first part of the last book is a
I
good
mean,
deal. I mean, good
yeah,
decision by Lionsgate to break it up.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I think just because it opened less than the previous film, there's a
Mhm.
sort of disappointment. But when you look at the big
Mhm.
picture,
Right.
hey, they're still gonna make a lot of money on this. And
Exactly.
like you said, there's another part.
I mean, when you're talking about the totality, I mean, you don't look at
Yeah,
this as one movie, right? You look
yeah.
at it as four.
Well, yeah, right.
You combine the budget of four, and then you combine the take of the four movies. Pretty
Yeah,
good.
I saw it during Thanksgiving weekend. I actually liked it. Maybe it's because I went in with lower
Mm-hmm.
expectations because the reviews weren't as good. It didn't do as well at the box office. So I wasn't expecting much, and I was entertained.
Cool. All right, so I believe we can expect part two to probably perform in a similar ballpark, if not higher.
I'm gonna go with the Harry Potter comparison
Right.
and say it's gonna do better than every one of the previous films.
Okay. All right.
I think people will rush out to it. I could be wrong though.
No, I think you're right because it is the concluding film, and if Mockingjay might have some staying power.
But
People might not want to catch it now, but given the competition and what's out there, I mean, they would eventually check it out. That's
at
what I think.
least until the Hobbit comes out.
Sure, but why not both?
Right.
Okay, let's go on to number two, Penguins of Madagascar.
Whoa. I mean, we were expecting around 40 million.
Somewhere within that ballpark. Let me look up the notes, okay?
All right.
Okay, so okay, here it goes. Yeah, I think no, yeah, we were thinking 45-ish.
Oh, whoa. Even
Higher.
even higher.
Because Madagascar 3,
I think most of the previous films open in the 50 to 60 million range.
the 60 range, Madagascar
Yeah.
3 had a 60 million opening. So we
Yeah.
were expecting somewhere around there, but lower because
Yeah.
it's
This is
a
a
well-known
spin-off.
franchise.
Yeah.
But it didn't do that well.
Yeah.
Still do okay, but didn't do that well.
Yeah, I read the budget for Madagascar is 125 million too,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
somewhere around that range. And with a 26 million opening, it's not gonna, even with the holidays, it's not gonna get there.
You don't think even with the overseas market and the holidays, you don't think
Um, well, maybe overseas, but I'm thinking domestically, I don't think you'll get to 125 million because I think their previous film, Turbo,
hmm.
also cost about 125 million. It opened it with around 25 million too, and then I
Hmm.
think at the end it only ended up with like 80 million. I mean, dude, this one has the holidays. It might reach 100 million, but I don't think you'll get to 125. You can't say it's a bomb, but another disappointment for DreamWorks.
Oh, this one's for Fox, I think.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
It's Fox, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, now I guess DreamWorks is off the hook. I
Well,
guess
still,
it's a
I mean,
payment for
it's not
Fox.
off the hook. It's the DreamWorks is still in trouble. DreamWorks,
Yeah,
excuse
yeah,
me,
yeah,
not DreamWorks, but DreamWorks Animation. So two
yeah.
things.
Right, right. That's true. Irregardless, they're still in trouble.
Right, right, right.
But it's just for Fox, it's kind of a misstep for them, a slight misstep.
So
Yeah.
they're hoping to capitalize on the the franchise
Well,
and
you know what I think the problem is?
what?
The eye patch guy didn't come out at the end.
Oh, okay. So they missed out during Madagascar 3.
Yeah,
I mean, and then they didn't do any lead-in for Penguins of Madagascar.
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
You know what the problem is? For me, I think
yeah. What is it?
you couldn't tell those penguins apart.
That could be it. Or
Okay, yeah,
remember
yeah.
when? Or you know what? When I went to see
Uh,
it,
uh,
the electricity, the power went out in the theater, which is a omen to the
okay,
to the film's performance.
okay. So that could be it. It didn't open that well because Madagascar 3 opened had a 60 million opening.
Mm,
Madagascar 2
mm,
63 million, right? The first Madagascar, 47 million. It didn't even reach the level of the first movie. So definite disappointment for Fox.
Here's the thing, though. I'm thinking if with Fox, since this is just a spin-off. I
Hmm.
wonder why they didn't budget it accordingly. Instead of pouring 125 million into the film, why don't they go lower, like say 70 million? If they made it for 70 million, this could be a profitable franchise.
I think they were bullish. They say, hey, we have a franchise here, and let's make it big.
Let's say with Despicable Me,
Hmm.
the first film did huge. It was a surprise hit.
Hmm.
I think they spent like 100 million on it.
Hmm.
And even though it was a surprise hit, it was a huge film, made like almost 200 million or something
Hmm.
in that range.
Hmm.
For the sequel, they actually lowered the budget to 70 mil, and it ended up making like 360 million. Just domestically. Some execs were smarter than others.
Yeah, some studios have restraint, but
Yeah.
also I think that might be why like a special effects company are going under.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just like maybe they need the budget, that much money to make the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then like some studios are just like pushing them to lower the cost, so that's why they're going under and going overseas. I think.
But regardless, I still feel like Penguins they should have budgeted accordingly since it's just a spin-off.
Hmm.
Kind of like The Conjuring, it was just a spin-off, and they just put in 5 million.
Yeah, true, but I think it could also be like a favor to the animation studios
Oh, right.
who made this,
Yeah,
and because they did so well with the previous movie, and this is just like kind of like a pay raise.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. You're probably right. Yeah, could be. All right, should
Okay.
we move on?
Big Hero 6, number 3, and like you say, it didn't experience that big of a drop off.
Mm-hmm.
Only around 6 or 7% drop from last
Mm-hmm.
week. It made 18.7 million estimate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so far it made 224 million worldwide.
Domestically, it made 167, which is a couple million over its budget already,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
and which is another reason why I think Penguins of Madagascar might not stay in the top 10 for too long because Big Hero 6 is still doing so well. I was expecting last week that Penguins will take a chunk of the box office from Big Hero 6, but didn't really make a dent.
Mhm, mhm. True.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think the final figure will be? So already at
Domestic or worldwide?
domestic.
Domestic, let's see, it's already at 167. By the rates going, it's probably gonna go over 200, right?
Oh yeah, it'll definitely go over 200. But do you think it's gonna get to 250?
Okay,
Christmas and
250, 250, 250. I don't know. Like I say, it's gonna be tough
yeah,
getting
it would
to
be. That's like
those final weeks. It's gonna go marching right up to the finish line, but it might not reach it, kind of thing.
yeah. It could be maybe 230.
But it's definitely going over 200. It's just like how much over 200, right?
Right. Disney. now has two of the biggest animated studios departments
Hmm.
in the industry. They have Pixar and they have Disney Animation. For a while, it was just Pixar, and Disney Animation wasn't successful. They were, I think, when people first heard that Disney was gonna buy
Hmm.
was buying Pixar, they thought they were just gonna kill their internal animation studio because it wasn't performing so well.
Hmm.
But I guess the surprising thing was they kept it alive, and John Lasseter just went over and took charge creatively,
Hmm.
and turned him into one of the more consistent animated film studios out there right now. In
Right,
terms
right. I
of
mean, and John Lasseter came from Disney, right? He was an animator.
yeah,
Uh, right, right,
originally he came from Disney. They kicked him out
right.
because they're like, this 3D animation thing, what the hell?
Right, right. So he knew what the problem was at Disney, and he went about and fixed them, I guess. And this is the fruit of his labor.
It almost feels unfair, because there's all these animated studios, some of them struggling like DreamWorks to produce hits, and Disney has two of them.
Right. Well, I think I always felt that the problem with DreamWorks animation is their art style.
I
It's,
actually like
it's really the art style, I think.
No, I actually like their art style.
No, it's different, but it is not the cutesy, colorful style of Disney and Pixar, right?
Their stuff tends to be a little bit more photorealistic.
Well, yeah, if I have to compare, I
Yeah.
would say that they're more like Hanna-Barbera,
Uh,
kind of, kind
yeah,
of, kind of,
kind of, yeah.
yeah, kind of like toward more the older crowd. So,
Okay, yeah.
and I think with animation, at least here in the U.S., people would associate it with like cute, cuddly figures, colorful,
Oh, yeah,
and that's where Pixar and Disney.
actually, you know what? You're right. I again got it mixed up with Fox. I actually like the character designs for Madagascar, the
Oh,
Madagascar.
okay.
But you're right. DreamWorks, I actually don't like their character designs.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, their design. They're not as distinctive as, like, let's say Fox with the
Hmm.
Madagascar films. I feel like those character designs are very different, and whereas I feel like DreamWorks, it seems like they're too photorealistic.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not sure if they're photorealistic or not, but it's more like they have more of an
They're
like,
like human features. Like
yeah,
even
yeah,
even
yeah.
cocktail, their face look like a normal human face. Instead of actually ants, their facial movements, their body,
Hmm.
it's almost it looks too human, I guess.
I'm not sure if it's human. It's more like when people think of animations, like, oh, I want to take my kids, right? That's the target audience. For example, ants, right? Oh, those characters looks kind of creepy,
Yeah,
instead of cute and cuddly. Like big
yeah,
eyes, round, smooth features. But these, like, you see these angles and
yeah.
like the colors are not really.
I don't have a problem with being cutesy. I just feel like you said, their style isn't as distinctive or as
Mhm.
creative. It almost seems like they just took a guy, mapped their face in, and then kind of make it looks, slightly
Mhm.
like an ant, or like it almost feels like all of their characters look like humans dressed up as characters. Instead of going to an animator and just say, "Hey, design a character," and
Mhm.
then we'll turn it into a 3D thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And instead, they just took a human face and said, "Hey, make this look like ants."
Okay, so I guess we figured out DreamWorks animation's problems. They
I
need a new art
know.
director. Um,
Let's hope they listen to this and get the fix the problem.
exactly, exactly. If they would just listen to us. Okay, moving on. Number 4,
Yeah,
Interstellar.
Interstellar. Wow, it actually did better this week than last week.
Doing awesome. I mean, already, let's see, but with 15.8 million this
Mhm.
weekend and 542 million worldwide.
Yeah,
You
very
know,
impressive, and still going strong. Remember last week we talked about the Star Wars trailer factor.
yeah, yeah.
Apparently, it played in a bunch of the IMAX theaters that Interstellar.
Oh.
So it kind of gave it a slight bump, maybe a million or two.
Mhm.
But it's only 30 theaters, so I'm not sure how much of a difference 30
Yeah.
theaters make.
Well, I think
Mhm.
regardless of if there's a Star Wars trailer or not, I think it will do it just as well. So it's holding on quite well,
Yeah,
and it's gonna cross what? I think 600. You think?
probably. Yeah.
It's another huge hit for Christopher Nolan, and he
Yeah.
doesn't need, and he didn't need Batman to do this.
Or Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But he had Matthew McConaughey say, "Hey,
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
good enough."
Yeah. Good enough. Yeah. Right.
Okay, yeah, and it's going to continue to breeze through, and I heard some good word of mouth with this movie too. Some people think that it's probably better than 2001, so
I don't know about
yeah,
that. I was disappointed by the ending.
and we'll leave it at that. And coming in number 5, Horrible Bosses 2. Big disappointment there.
Yeah, I was expecting it to go like 30, 35 million. Instead, it made half that.
And it has the same like cinema score as the first movie too, but the reviews were much worse.
I mean, I read a couple of box office analysis from Box Office Mojo and Box Office Guru, and both of them mentioned how there's how all-weighted comedies can actually do as well during the holidays because during the holidays people want happier, cleaner, family-oriented films, and all-weighted comedies tend not to do as well. Do you think that was a factor, or do you think?
No, I don't buy that at all. I think it's because I just think that like people might not want to watch the sequel.
The first one
You
was a
know?
surprise hit, and it did really well, though. You know what? I think maybe people who like Horrible Bosses
Mhm.
have already seen the sequel. It's called We're the Millers, and that did really well. That made over 100 million. I feel like they already have their appetite satiated
Mhm.
by We're the Millers.
Okay. Yeah, my feeling is that Horrible Bosses 2 doesn't pass the sniff test
Uh,
with fans of the first movie, and they just think that.
Yeah, that's the word. I saw it. I'm like, I could see how people who like the first film would dig it, but apparently people who like the first film aren't that willing to watch the second one, or maybe it's one of those films where they feel like they had a couple good laughs and they're like, that's all I need from it.
The first movie also has some surprise casting, right? I mean, we have Jennifer Aniston, Kevin
Oh,
Spacey,
yeah,
Colin Farrell. You know, we wouldn't expect those people to play bad characters, right?
right. And
And
whereas this one is like there's no surprises at all.
right. Like that. That was a triumph of stunt casting. This one, it's more like, okay, we kind of figured out the idea behind it, and we're gonna decide to skip it.
But that's one of the things that when I talked about it last week, I said the freshness isn't there anymore. It's kind of like been there, done that. But I was expecting it to do better. So
Well, yeah, it's one of those things. I think it's surprised that people at what is a New Line,
yeah, New
or
Line.
yeah, or Warner Brothers, same
Yeah.
company, right?
I read they only made it for 40 million, so they're not going to lose money. But we won't
Right.
be seeing another one.
Okay.
Which makes me wonder if they're going to do a Where the Millers Chew now.
Oh, I think some movies, especially comedies, right? They're hard to follow up. It's not about the story, right? It's about the laughs, right? It's hard to come up with new thing to make people laugh. You think they're gonna make one?
Well, if they follow the same pattern as Horrible Bosses, where they're like, they had a huge hit, made over 100 million, they might.
I don't know, because I don't know where they would go with the story, or if they're interesting enough to do a
Yeah,
follow up, right? I mean, it's one of those things where it's an idea. Okay, some guy wanted to transport drugs across the border.
yeah.
And they need to have like a makeshift family to do so. And but if you're gonna do a follow up, it's gonna be like the same concept. You probably have to change the tone of the movie and to make it, hey, maybe we want to be a family and take it from there instead of another
Yeah.
drug deal.
Well,
You know,
yeah, I'm not saying it's a good idea to make a sequel. I'm
right?
just saying an exec would be like, whoa, we have a huge hit here, we gotta mine it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That's.
We'll let the writers and the directors figure out where to take it.
I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. That's what's going
Yeah.
on. But can they come up with something that's that's a good idea? And okay, let's throw money at
Probably
this.
not.
I think We're the Millers is a one-off.
I mean, Horrible Bosses was a one-off too,
Mhm.
but they made a part two, so
I think number one, it made money. And number two, it was made cheaply. I think if it was made for more, let's see, what I don't know what the budget is, but I kind of expect it to.
To be lower than 40 million,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, gotta be in the 40 like 45 million range, right? If they made it for more, I don't think that it'll get made. It's not a 60, $70 million movie.
Yeah, well, usually comedies, they don't tend to pour too much money into.
Hmm.
Okay, should we move on to Dumb and Dumber 2?
Dumb and Dumber 2, number six, 8.2 million.
Yeah,
Uh,
and domestically, it already made 72 million. And at a
mhm.
budget of only 40 million, it's profitable and seems like with the holidays, you'll probably make 90 million. Do you think it has a chance to get to 100? It might.
Possible. I mean, it just depending on if it holds.
If it makes it to Christmas, because Christmas, New Year's is like one of the biggest movie-going holidays. If it can stay in theaters through Christmas and New Year's, it can get to 100. And if it gets to 100, it's a decent-sized hit.
I think the thing is to stay in theaters. I think that's the key point because I feel like it's one of those movies where that people will check it out eventually,
Mhm.
whether it's in theaters or on home video.
Although realistically, it'll probably end up making like 85 at most 90. But if it gets to 100, I think Universal could be
Yeah, you're talking about 30 million more.
unlikely.
Yeah,
Unlikely.
which is tough. I mean,
Yeah,
especially when it's already open in its third week.
yeah, yeah.
30 million.
I'm not saying
Yeah,
that it's gonna get there.
right,
It's gonna be tough.
right.
But if it gets there, we might see a Dumb and Dumber 3.
Yeah, yeah.
Should we move on to Theory
And
of Everything?
the theory of everything, yeah, it's holding up well,
It expanded to 800 theaters,
right?
uh, 5
5
million.
million, yeah.
Total almost 10 million. The per screen average is decent, about 6,000 per theater. So like you said, we were saying, hey, which one of these art house movies will break out, between Birdman and Theory of Everything and Foxcatcher, and
Hmm.
you picked Theory of Everything and looked like you might be right.
Uh-huh.
You're like, of course.
No, no. I mean, it just had the story that appeals to everybody, really, right?
So basically, nerds like me can go and watch it and feel good about myself.
Yeah, it's a feel-good movie. Okay, and you don't need to know any science.
Right, that's true. So
Yeah.
even if I'm not the smartest guy in the world, I could still feel good about myself.
Yes, 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 yes. You probably
Um,
come out with a few IQ points higher. It's in its fourth week and it expanded, and it's doing quite well.
It looks like you could be right. Of all the movies that expanded, I think
Uh-huh.
this one did better than I expected.
I think it's gonna be like St. Vincent's, gonna stay in the 6, 7 spot for weeks within like 3 to 5 million range, and it's probably gonna get nominated for a couple of awards. I'm not sure if it's gonna win anything, but it's gonna get nominated. It's gonna be there
Right.
along with Birdman and probably Foxcatcher. But the Theory of Everything is gonna be the more well-known movie, I think. Yes.
Okay, so we move on to Gone Girl.
Gone Girl, number 8,
Yeah,
2.5 million in its ninth week.
yep, 160 million. I'm not sure if there's much else to say about it. We've been
Yeah,
talking about it for 9 weeks already.
it's there. It's staying. Ben Affleck is gonna
Yeah.
be one
Wow.
of the probably Best Actor nominees.
And the guy has completely resurrected his career. He's now not only a draw at the box office as a movie star, but also as a director. It used to be, between him and Matt Damon.
Hmm.
People like Matt Damon is the better actor, is the guy
Right.
with a better career. But now is him. You can put him in as a director in a film and expect it to be an Oscar contender. You can put him in a movie and expect it to open well.
Yeah, of the two between Damon and Affleck, I expected Damon would go into directing first.
Yeah, it's same here.
Yeah, Affleck,
Yeah,
and he's gonna be Batman. I'm not sure about that, but
we'll see if he can erase Daredevil from people's mind.
I got a feeling that he's gonna remind people of Daredevil as Batman.
We'll see. Hopefully not.
I don't know. I don't think Daredevil is his fault, really.
Yeah, yeah. I don't understand the hate though, because I mean, sure, I think as a film it wasn't a a great film.
Mhm.
But it did do pretty well at the box office.
Maybe people,
Yeah.
like I believe like Daredevil is a great comic, and I think the expectation was too high.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the comic, but when
Yeah.
it opened, I was like, wow, this did. When it first opened at the box,
Hmm.
I thought it did better than I expected, and it
Hmm.
was kind of a surprise hit. I'm surprised. Well, maybe it's just because Ben Affleck didn't want to do it. I was expecting the studio to crank out with sequels.
Hmm.
But I guess they could never get Ben Affleck to agree to it. I think this is one of those cases where even though the film did really well because it was kind of trashed by critics, the people involved just didn't want to just go in and do another one just for money.
I don't know, was superhero movies well regarded back then?
Back then, it was kind of like you already had Spider-Man, you already had the new Chris Nolan Batman movies, you already have the X-Men films. So back then, I think maybe that's one of the reasons. All the X-Men films are very well reviewed. The Spider-Man films are
Mm.
well reviewed, and the Christopher Nolan Batman films were well reviewed. And then you have Daredevil, which was poorly reviewed, but did surprisingly well. So maybe that's the hey, people look at all these well reviewed comic book films and then they see a poorly reviewed one, kind of like bad spots on a comic book filmography.
Well, they are making I think a TV series based on the characters. I believe they are. I mean, 'cause since the rights went back to Disney or Marvel, and
Oh, we went back to Marvel.
yeah,
Hey, Marvel could do wonders with it.
yeah, they could. I mean, like even though he might not need his own movie, right? I mean, he would add
Mm.
flavor to existing franchises.
Like people didn't like the Hulk until they put him in the Avengers, and suddenly everyone, he's one of people's favorite characters in the Avenger films.
Well, true. He's kind of like the Rob Schneider of superhero movies. Good in small doses, but
Right.
but couldn't, in my opinion, couldn't be in his own movie. Okay, number nine, Birdman,
Um,
1.9 million, 17 million worldwide.
it's already losing theater, so I'm not sure how much more it's gonna make. And at a budget of 18 million, barely gonna break even. Which is
So,
surprising despite all the great, reviews and word of mouth.
oh yeah, the reviews are great, but like again, it's one of those movies where I think people just don't want to watch it, given all the other movies out there.
Okay, number 10, St. Vincent.
Saint Vincent.
Losing a lot of theaters, but still doing decent.
Well, yeah, but it's already in its eighth week.
Closing in at 40 million, which was for an indie movie, really a huge hit. I guess you can say it's in the fall probably the first breakout indie hit.
Oh yeah, but the weird thing is like you don't really hear much about it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. There's another film that made like 60 million at the box office total, but you barely hear anything about it. It's that food movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean with John Farrow?
Oh no, not John Favreau. No.
No, not Chef.
Oh, not Chef.
Okay.
No, well, we'll get back to it.
Okay, if we can remember it.
Or we can spend the next 30 minutes thinking about it.
I don't know if people can stand all this dead air. This coming Friday, it's kind of bare.
Yeah, so I think we can expect pretty much the same kind of order. I think the Equalizer crossed 100 million, right? Yeah, it was close last week.
Equalizer, let's see. It says 99, but it
Oh,
probably crossed it already.
okay, maybe Box Office Mojo just hasn't updated.
Yeah, I think it's probably out or too low.
Okay.
No one's reporting it, but it's like right there. But I think it crossed. As of November 23rd, it is 99.3 million,
Oh, okay.
and I'm sure it's still in the few theaters. Second run or maybe third
Oh yeah,
run.
probably hasn't hit the second one theaters yet.
Yeah. So
We'll
it's
see
there.
it pop up, back up.
I think it crossed. So I guess we won't have any predictions for this week for the new opening since none. Oh well, except some indies. But we'll check back next week and see. I guess like you say, we're expecting the box office rankings to remain similar. The movie's gonna make a little bit less.
A lot less, I think. Usually the weekend following Thanksgiving is pretty bad.
Right. So that's why they're not releasing any movies
Right.
this week. At least big ones, the major
Right.
studios.
Yeah.
So okay, and then that's why we have the holdovers. All right. I think we come to the end of this podcast, and we'll see you next week.
All right.